Hello and welcome to This Week in Cyberspace, coming to you from Taipei, where 3,200 activists, human rights activists working in the digital era have gathered to form connections, to work in solidarity, to path a way forward for all of us in the digital age. Last night was the opening ceremony, and one of the featured thought leaders at that event was Htaike Aung. She's the executive director at Myanmar Internet Communication Technologies for Development Organization, or MIDO, and she's with us now. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
So the people of Myanmar have endured a 4-year military coup. What is the situation there now?
Yes, thank you so much for actually bringing this up because February actually marks the 4th year of the coup. So comparing to the first years, it's actually not really discussed a lot, particularly in international medias or international setting anymore. So yeah, thank you very much for bringing this up. So Myanmar, although the situation has been going on for 4 years, it hasn't actually become better, but there are a lot of hardships, challenges that we are continually facing on the ground. And because I mainly work on the digital side as well, so we are actually seeing a very big shift of Myanmar towards surveillance state, and then digital coup is also ongoing in the country.
Yeah, digital suppression
Exactly.
is a real thing for all of Myanmar's citizens. How do you resist that? How are you working on the ground in cyberspace to resist?
So I mean, personally, I'm not able to stay in the country anymore, and most of the team has already relocated elsewhere. So it's actually not safe for civil societies, activists, human rights defenders on the ground, and it's also quite challenging for us to work as well, and resisting repression on the digital space in Myanmar is happened because it's no longer very safe for people to mobilize offline protests and events. So the digital space is where people started to find spaces and to protest, resist, and mobilize. So this is also why the junta has tried to repress the space very much, and then people are trying to resist. So after the coup, what we can say is the people, the civilians, they like having a crash course around digital safety and digital rights, because it happened with nationwide internet shutdowns, and people couldn't access platforms anymore. So people had to learn how to use VPNs, and it's my auntie, who's 60 years old, 70 years old, she had to learn how to use VPNs. It's not us digital rights groups anymore, and people has learn about what internet shutdown means, because in the past we always talk about how internet shutdowns are violating human rights, but it's not affecting to the whole public. But after the coup, it's the effect is becoming more. So people had a crash course around digital rights, and they are much more aware of what this means to them. And at the same time, people are trying to find tools to resist using VPNs, as elders, as people in the village. So it's actually on one hand people are resisting, and on one hand the suppression is trying to find more sophisticated way for that as well.
Can I ask you, and I mean, first I just want to say thank you so much for all of your time that you've put into trying to secure and to protect your population, and not just you, but the whole group of Burmese activists or activists from Myanmar who have really, you said yesterday, it was kind of almost like don't forget us. Like, we have been forgotten because the world, basically knows about Ukraine and it knows about Gaza, and it's forgotten about Myanmar. And it's really wonderful to have you here and to see you on the main stage to be able to convey what's at stake. You were working on these issues before the coup. you and a number of other organizations, civil society, trying to create a digital future for Myanmar when there was hope and possibility. You remember when there was this the allocation of the licenses for Telenor and for whoever was the other one, I can't remember, I think from the UAE, like this whole idea about like there was this possibility and hope that we're going to bring this population online and that it was going to have a digital democracy as well as a physical democracy. Like, how does it feel to have seen that possibility personally, and then to see like what's happened with that, and how the tool of technology literally has become the tool not of the citizens but of the generals?
Right. So, as an organization, we have lived through a very historical time. So, when we started the MIDO, it's at the time where the Myanmar digital market just opened. So, we started it in 2014. So, the telecos licenses were given out in 2013, and Myanmar is a very late adopter of all these technologies. But then late adopting doesn't necessarily means that, of course there are drawbacks, but there are also very good situations as well. So people go from no phone to smartphone, and we were able to adopt new technologies at that same very time. And then the market open up. There are more opportunities. Civic tech landscape is growing. People are very excited. And then
There was that real
exactly.
sense, of optimism.
Exactly. And and then there are a lot of opening up spaces for civil societies to engage in more dialogue. So we were really, really hopeful. We have a lot of friends who came back from outside of the country
from exile.
to actually to back to the country. We have media who were exiled, like Misimar and Ayawadi, who came back to the country. It was a very hopeful time. And then one day, even before the coup, what we were doing was we were having our organization strategic meeting.
Oh,
And we
wonder
were
what that looked like.
Yes, we were discussing what do we want to do, because there's new opportunities and we have new people. And then just after one day at 2 a.m. in the morning, somebody knocked on our door and said, okay, we need to like figure out, this is happening, this is going to
Wow.
happen. So we have to start
Pivot.
mitigating. So we sent half of the team home, and half of the team remained at the our hotel to actually look on, if things happen, how can we help. So we were writing this code green, code yellow, code red on digital security practices, so that we can hand it out to people. And then we were really hopeful at the first month after the coup, because people get on the street.
It was amazing.
Exactly, the big mobilization.
The world was watching.
Exactly, the world watching. We got a lot of cover features, and we have a lot of international community. Even like Taiwan is also a country where the MICT alliance become very, very big for us as well. And we were hopeful, but as time goes by, more violence happened. The military extorting to violence, and the digital space have really shrunken a lot. People arrested. So it's like we are reverting back.
Myanmar holds the record for the most internet shutdowns globally, 83 shutdowns, which just must completely cut the population off from the rest of the world over and over and over again. You also said last night that Facebook and other social media platforms have been complicit in the persecution of Rohingya people in Myanmar. What do you think needs to change for there to be more freedom for persecuted and marginalized groups like the Rohingya in Myanmar?
So there are yes, we have experienced the Rohingya genocide, and the impact, and then the mobilization from the hateful contents and incitements has been amplified by platforms like Facebook. And yes, tech companies are also, are complicit in also aiding for this genocides and hate spreading of hate speech and
And what do
disinformation
they
as well.
say when? What do they say? Like, what is the explanation? It's like you are, you have been complicit in a
Yeah.
genocide. Like
What
this
is
is
their
a
defense
crime
against that?
against humanity. Like this is what do you say? What do they say to you?
So currently, if I'm not wrong, Meta is has been filed a class action suit
Yeah,
by the Rohingya communities in the US and UK. So this is actually ongoing, and of course, there are always imbalance in resources and power and
yeah,
control between tech companies
yeah.
and people like us. So we are hopeful, but I'm very skeptical optimist about how things will go forward. So yeah.
When tech companies don't take responsibility for those kind of actions, for that kind of content moderation, then of course what happens is the governments step
Mm-hmm.
in to fill that
Mm-hmm.
void. What has been the impact of that in your country?
I mean, right now, there's no government that in Myanmar.
Mm.
The military junta is not of course ideal
Yeah.
It's an illegitimate.
institution, yeah,
It's
to do
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
So we don't have like absolute zero hope on like the country's
yeah,
government stepping up, but we are actually looking forward to regulations around what we have in other countries, like the EU regulations and regulations that the tech companies are based in. So we are actually very looking forward to that. This is why countries like us, although we are not a part of EU, obviously, we are very interested in what EU lawmakers are discussing about the tech companies and the regulations, because we are not a part of EU, but that have a really big impact of us. That's why we're
the
also trying
Brussels
to
effect.
get into the space, but we have very little resources, capacity to do so.
Do you feel that being at a conference like this at RightsCon with so many other people working in this exact space, that you're finding new ways and new connections and new allies to resist?
So definitely, this kind of platforms are important for us, but it is also very challenging because we all know that the world is filled with crises and conflicts, and everybody wants to make use of the best use of their time here.
Yeah,
So we really, yeah,
competition.
not really competition, but we really have to get into discussion in so that it can turn into more direct action,
Mm.
so not just end with the talks. So I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to like more meaningful discussion where we can do follow-ups and things like that.
You should, of course, feel free to share this podcast because I I want to really like just in our final minutes convey to people who are listening and watching. This is an unusual experience for us because we're normally just voices, but now we're actually voices and physical form. But
With amazing
with
guests
our
like
amazing
yourself.
gals, thank you. I mean, I totally agree. But I want to just one of the things that really hit me in speaking to some of your colleagues was the realization that the junta is flying over villages and indiscriminately dropping bombs on innocent people or drones. Not only that, they are the basically the streets are full of CCTV, which goes directly back to the
HQ,
to
the junta.
HQ.
Yeah.
So there's no space, no free space, and this is a country which is full of incredible culture,
Mm.
beautiful people,
Yeah.
amazing countries next door that are living a life which is not based on. I mean, there's the somewhat, there's challenges in Thailand and Vietnam, etc. But this is like this. It's almost it's deliberate that we don't know about this. This is this black hole of like human rights oppression, and 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 the world is and the tech companies and the telecoms and the institutions need to listen to the voice of Tek Tek and her colleagues because this war, this coup against the people is like incomprehensible and unconscionable.
And also, it's a crime against the world's cultural heritage.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so tell us in our final commentary, your final commentary, like, do you feel that justice will prevail? Do you feel that like Myanmar can come back? I mean, what do you say?
Well, we want hope. We want to be hopeful, but at the same time, looking back, if the Rohingya, they haven't got the justice that they
Mm,
needed, and it's still a very long run as well.
mm.
I hope that justice will prevail. I hope that people have justice, and also the military stop, and this impunity should be stopped, and
Yeah.
also yeah, it should be held accountable
Well,
for the
we're
things.
here to help you in any way that we can, and I will say that like having watched what happened in Syria, not
Mm.
that it is like the model, but you can see that like dictatorships fall.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Tunisia. I mean, in 2011, and in Egypt, like dictatorships do fall over. And so, whatever we can do on this week in
Mm-hmm.
cyberspace to continue to convey your message and to support you,
Mm.
we will be there for you. So, thank you very much for
Yes,
coming.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Htaike.
Thank you.